What's going on, guys? Welcome back. And today I am going to be sharing with you the first of my two end-of-year lists. Now, of course, one of those lists is my ranking of everything that I saw this year, but usually I do some sort of Lego list, whether it be my top 5 or 10 Lego sets or minifigures. But I realized that I didn't buy all that much Lego this year, so I wouldn't have a lot to cover in a list. So I thought to myself, what do I love aside from films or Lego? Oh, I know, music. So today I will be sharing with you my top 5 musical scores of the year. Keep in mind, I say musical scores and not film scores, because a majority of this list is actually made up of TV scores, which is kind of surprising. I guess TV shows this year just had higher quality music than films. Before I get into my list, though, I do have a few honorable mentions, so let's get those out of the way first. My first honorable mention is the score for the new Knives Out mystery, The Glass Onion, composed by Nathan Johnson, the cousin of Rian Johnson, the director of the film himself. Now, this score was a lot of fun. It carries over many of the motifs from Knives Out, but still feels distinct in its own right, which is appropriate. This film isn't so much a sequel to Knives Out as much as it is a mystery set in the same world, and I feel the score reflects that very well. My second honorable mention is the score for the new Star Wars miniseries Tales of the Jedi. Whenever I get the chance, I love to mention Kevin Kiner's work on the animated Star Wars shows because I think it's absolutely fantastic, and this series is no exception. I loved hearing the new and evolved version of Ahsoka's theme, as well as the use of electronic synth to create an uneasy and almost Blade Runner-y atmosphere in the Count Dooku episodes. The track Soldiers Are Here is one of my favorites of the entire year, not just because of how fantastic the scene is that it accompanies, but also due to its slow and dramatic buildup of intensity. For my third and final honorable mention, I have the score for The Batman by Michael Giacchino. Let's just say that Giacchino definitely redeemed himself with this one after the incredibly disappointing score he composed for Spider-Man No Way Home last year. The reason it doesn't make it onto the list is because it isn't the most varied soundtrack out there. Aside from the Riddler's theme or Catwoman's theme, which is used very sparingly in the film, it's really just a repetition of the same set of notes, which works very well in the film itself, but it doesn't make it very enticing to revisit. Kicking off the list at number 5, I have the score for Fantastic Beasts: The Secrets of Dumbledore by James Newton Howard. Now, in my opinion, this is the weakest score of the Fantastic Beasts series, but that's only because of how high the bar had been set previously. The score for the first Fantastic Beasts was something fresh, which breathed new life into the Wizarding World franchise, and The Crimes of Grindelwald just continued on from that, introducing so many new beautiful pieces of music. So, The Secrets of Dumbledore had a difficult job, and while it does effectively carry over many of the musical ideas from the previous 2 films, it introduces the least original pieces of music. But I'd be lying if I didn't say it was one of the soundtracks that I've listened to most this year. And of the 3 films, I think it is the one where James Newton Howard was able to best implement John Williams' work from the Harry Potter films. He was able to use many of Williams' themes at appropriate moments without it feeling distracting or like some sort of nostalgia trick. Overall, while it is weak for the Wizarding World franchise, for the year 2022, it stands out as being one of the best. At number 4, I have the score for Andor. See what I did there? Now, Nicholas Britell is a composer whose work I was almost completely unfamiliar with before this series. I know his work on Succession is pretty popular, but I have not seen that series, nor have I listened to the music for it, so I am judging this score purely off of how it fits within this series, and I think it's fantastic. At first, I thought it was going to be yet another Blade Runner-esque soundtrack, but Britell really has created an entirely new musical language within the galaxy of Star Wars. The decision to have a different variation of Andor's theme play at the beginning of each episode was genius. I don't know why more shows don't do that. Likewise, the inclusion of the marching band in the final episode was inspired and contributes significantly to the culture of Ferrix. My favorite tracks from this show are without a doubt the Past/Present Suite and Eulogy. Those two tracks mirror each other beautifully, and the swelling percussion accompanied by a pulsating beat in the background makes for something that is simply epic to listen to. At number 3, I have the score for The Book of Boba Fett, a show that was not very good, but the combined efforts of Joseph Shirley and Ludwig Göransson were able to save this show from being the complete piece of garbage that it would be otherwise. They were able to take the Boba Fett theme introduced in The Mandalorian and morph it into something completely different. The tribal and triumphant music that underscores his time spent with the Tuskens beautifully conveys his transformation from the ruthless bounty hunter that he once was into a more caring and compassionate leader in a way that the show itself just never really could. Once the Mandalorian is reintroduced, we are treated to a fantastic combination of their themes, which still gives me goosebumps to this day. Although the episode featuring Luke Skywalker was my least favorite of the series, and I hated what they did to his character, I loved that the track A Friend from The Mandalorian has officially become Luke's new theme for these Star Wars shows. Likewise, hearing a more epic rendition of The Marshal's Tale when the people of Freetown come to Boba and Mando's aid in the finale was very exciting. Really, this entire soundtrack was able to form a more coherent and compelling narrative than the actual show. Now, the top 2 are really neck and neck for me. They could change on any day of the week. But as of right now, my second favorite musical score of 2022 is The Lord of the Rings: The Rings of Power. In truth, this is the one I've listened to the most times. I think that Howard Shore's main title theme does a great job of giving us something familiar sounding, which seamlessly transitions us into the rest of the score by Bear McCreary, which sticks true to the musical world that Shore had established in the Lord of the Rings and Hobbit films, while retaining its own unique style. Practically every piece of music in this show is memorable, whether it be the Numenor theme, which perfectly captures the feel of an ancient seafaring kingdom, the almost angelic sound of Valinor, or Halbrand's theme, which does a great job of selling you on the fact that he is the long-lost king he claims to be, while sounding strikingly similar to Sauron's theme, which is something that I didn't even notice until looking back. My favorite track is easily Cavalry, a track that underscores a scene in which many of the major characters finally come together. So, of course, all the themes that represent those characters are melded together in exhilarating fashion. As far as I know, this is the first production that Bear McCreary has scored outside of video games. And if this is anything to go by, I think it's safe to say that he has a bright future ahead of him in the world of film scoring. But at number 1, and I'm sure some of you have already seen this coming, I have the score for His Dark Materials Season 3. Now, I've already talked about the score for His Dark Materials in the past and claimed that it's one of my favorites of all time. Well, this season is just an affirmation of that. I really can't sing Lorne Balfe's praises enough. Not only does this season maintain the musical continuity from the prior 2 seasons, but it also introduces so many fantastic new themes, of which Father Gomez and Azriel's Republic are standouts in my opinion, and these new themes are combined with the old to create an absolutely breathtaking score, which really does feel like the culmination of all the work that Lauren Balfe has put into this series over the years. All I'll say is that the music underscoring the final scene, which leads into a new rendition of the main His Dark Materials theme playing over the credits, was not only the perfect way to end this series, but was the perfect way to end 2022. With all that being said, that's just about it for my top 5 favorite musical scores of 2022. You guys let me know. Do you have your own favorite scores of this year? Do you agree with my list? Do you disagree with it? Just whatever your thoughts are, please let me know them all in the comments below. And of course, as always, I hope you guys have a great day. Take care.